And good morning, everybody, and welcome to the most important conversations, meditations. We host these meditations Monday through Friday. The overarching theme of our meditations is liberation, as in liberating oneself from your conditioning, from how you've lived, who to be, how to be, and why to be. You've learned that through your friends, family, and community. And so liberating yourself from your conditioning provides you the space and the opportunity to create a life by design according to what is most in integrity and authentic to you. You step into your power as a creator of life as opposed to a consumer of life. And with that power, you realize you can no longer tolerate living someone else's life. Before each meditation, we have a short talk, and the content of that talk is derived from our core program, Whole Life Architecture. Whole Life Architecture is a weekly interactive live online workshop where the participants are learning how to liberate themselves and step into their power as a creator of their own life. We do this in a group workshop format because then everyone feels supported, they're learning together, they're challenging each other together, and they're experiencing the true path of transformation, which is something that can only be done in the context of community or others. You cannot help yourself. Self-help is a lie. It's a misnomer. It's part of the mythology of the independence of the West, this culture of rabid independence and not needing anyone, and that is just the ego. That whole culture is based on ego. But when we work together, when we learn together, and we support one another, that is the path of transformation. I want to speak this morning a little bit about the ego and its role in keeping us trapped until we master it. And once we master it, it can actually foster what it is that we want to create. The ego is talked a lot about as a concept that was defined and termed by Freud, Sigmund Freud. But as an idea, or as a thing that we live with, you can think of the ego as just identity. It's the thing that defines you as distinct and separate from someone else. Don't need to be a master expert in psychoanalysis or psychology or depth psychology or any of that to simply get that when you are in your ego, when you are being egotistical, you are being highly attached and defensive to your identity. And not just as like a label, but your identity at the level of even how and what you think, how you behave, yes, what you look like. But it's what you think and how you behave and what you believe and the subconscious mind where all of this exists is what is most important here when we think of the ego. Because it is the attachment to that identity, even if you didn't create by design your identity. We conflate and confuse our identity, which is our beliefs, our thinking, our actions. We conflate that with being actually who we are, when it is not who we are. For those who participate in our Watcher Observer meditations each morning, or when we do them every other morning. We'll be doing them again tomorrow. You know, if you've done those meditations with us, that we practice being the watcher and observer of your thinking and your emotions, distinguishing yourself from your thoughts and emotions. In fact, we even begin each meditation saying, you are not your thoughts and emotions. You are the watcher observer of them. If you're the watcher observer of your emotions and your thoughts, then who are you if you're not your emotions and your thoughts? But see, the ego mistakes what you think and what you feel as being evidence of or the embodiment of yourself, your authentic self, who you are. You are, in this way, a victim to your thoughts and emotions. And so you must defend them because you can't change them. That's the story of the ego. And we become attached to our thoughts, our beliefs, our perceptions, our ideas. We become attached to our emotions, how we feel about certain situations. And combined, this creates the world of our egoic identity. And it's that attachment that keeps us trapped. For most of us, our ego, our identity, is not who we created ourselves to be. It's what we've learned through our conditioning. We picked it up from our friends, from our family, from our community. We've been taught it. We've been told to be it. And this egoic identity, if not your own creation, now becomes an encumbrance that prevents you from seeing life as it is and from being able to create a life by design in response to life as it is. And in this way, your ego, though it makes you think you're strong and feel strong, because it's settled, you don't have to question who you are anymore. It actually keeps us incredibly weak. You've all had the experience of dealing with an egomaniac. Someone who is egotistical. What we're saying in that situation is that this person is throwing their identity, their way of thinking and being, in our face. And in many cases, trying to convince us that we ought to be like them as well. That we should take on their identity, their way of thinking, their way of feeling, their way of acting. And we call them egotistical or egomaniacs, as though they have all the right answers. In whole life architecture, we teach that we, in fact, don't exist in a world of right and wrong. That also is a creation, it's a concoction. You think the deer and the cow are judging all of our thousands of laws of what we're supposed to do and how we're supposed to act. All of these rules that then we use to define right and wrong. You're wrong if you're not following the rules. Like as a person, as an entity, you are wrong. You must change. You think nature and the animals give a damn about any of our rules? Think about them as though they're an objective reality. See, if they were objective reality, all of nature would have to conform to them. These are made up things. And yet we contort ourselves to conform to them. And yet they change by decade or by millennium or by country or by culture. Things that are considered right and wrong in some cultures may not be considered right and wrong in others. Something wrong in one culture might be right in another, or maybe not even thought about. They maybe didn't even need to make a law about it. And yet our ego minds, because, see, what the brain tries to do is make everything simplified for us. This is what our conditioning and our subconscious mind, why it happens, is so that we don't have to keep relearning and rethinking about things. We can consider certain beliefs and perceptions as settled, but the only way we as human beings can delude ourselves, and it is a delusion, into believing that what our brain wants to consider settled is settled absolutely and should be settled for everyone. That's the only way our brain can persuade us to accept this. I mean, if it's settled for you but not settled for everyone, there's still a question: is it actually the thing we should be conforming to? And so we make up all of these rules and we expect others to follow and abide by them, because that then gives us the confidence that we don't have to think about these anymore. They're objectively the truth, but they're not. All the rules, all the conditioning, all the things you think define you are not who you are. You've built an identity, you have an ego built around these things, and you're defending it, and it isn't even authentic to you. You're both in the world and of the world. You are operating in the of the world dynamics. This is a term we use in whole life architecture, where our objective is to be in the world but not of it. We do not conform to the of the world dynamics because they're made up, they're broken. I mean, just look at the world. The mental health crisis, the climate crisis, wars, violence, poverty. This is what the world of men of rules has created: complete catastrophe. And these things we call rules are supposed to be the truth that we're supposed to follow. Well, some might say, well, it's because people aren't following the rules that all of that is happening. No, it's precisely because the rules exist that all of that is happening. Human beings long to be liberated. They long to be liberated from their conditioning so that they can breathe free. Every time a rule is created, we create the conditions for its opposite to occur, which is to break it. And then we create whole industries around people who broke it: court systems, banking systems, prison systems. Then we have to enforce those, create more rules. Then we've got to enforce those rules to create more rules, and we have to do that to enforce the rules. And on and on and on it goes. This is the opposite of liberation. This is the opposite of being liberated. And it begins with each and every one of us by choosing to recreate ourselves and our lives and to design them according to our intention to create a life by design. It begins with each and every one of us, because as we awaken to our power and we share that with others and they awaken to theirs, slowly we start to transform. First, maybe our family, then other families of families becoming communities. We can shift the trajectory of things. And at the very least, if you don't believe that, which is just a belief, you can transform your own life. You don't have to be bogged down with this nonsense of how we have structured and set things up in our society. This arbitrarily made up crap that we then create rules around. And this isn't just me saying this. For those who are spiritually inclined, if you've ever read the Bible, Jesus said two things to his disciples that stand out in this regard. First, he said, give to Caesar what is Caesar's, and to God what is God's, meaning Caesar wants you to pay taxes. Caesar wants you to follow all these rules. Let him do what he wants to do. Pay his stupid taxes. It's unimportant. Let him play in his world of rules. It's not important. That was the first thing he said. Second thing he said about rules is he said, I have not come to abolish the law, but to fulfill it. Okay, what does that mean? What does it mean to have a law fulfilled? He said, I have come to write the law on your hearts. Meaning, we don't need all these stupid rules. If we were connected to our heart, if our heart was open, we would be able to trust our intuition, our inner wisdom, our inner guidance system for who to be and how to be. We would not be looking from without. We would not be looking outside at what does the rule say or what does this person say, who I should be and what I should do in this moment. You would know because it's coming from within, from your heart. People are so disconnected from their hearts, from who they actually are, they don't even know themselves. So it's no wonder all of us are looking outside of ourselves. And then we defend it to the death. We defend our ego. We defend our choices. We defend our beliefs, none of which were ours. They were all conditioning, fitting in, playing by the rules. But because we've never initiated and developed ourself, we must defend this concoction from this Frankenstein monster of an identity that we have assumed from outside in. And then we defend it. This is why Alice in Wonderland, when Lewis Carroll in Alice in Wonderland asked the question, who are you? It is the most important question you can ask yourself because you are not your conditioning. You are not your thinking. You are not your emotions. You are the observer, watcher of them. And you can change them. You can recreate yourself to be something and someone else that aligns with who you actually are deep down. You can use your natural creative powers to become a creator of life instead of a consumer of life by default. That's what's available to you. But first, you have to see the ego, see the identity you're attached to, see the identity and the ways that it behaves, the things it defends, what you have chosen to do as a result of it. And how's that all working out for you? I mean, just look at your life. It's a simple question. If every area of your life is not totally aligned with what you would want it to be, from your deepest desire, from your heart, not from expectations from other people, but what you would want as a life. If you're not living that life and you're not experiencing joy in every area, feeling complete and fulfilled, then you've got some work to do on yourself, because you're creating a life that does not align with who you are. And you may be doing it just to follow the rules and look good and be validated. Likely that's the case. Just consider that this morning as we move into our meditation, and we'll continue exploring this theme this week. I'd love to invite Mignon now to join us this morning to guide us in our neurosculpting meditation.
Thank you, Chad, and welcome. In this morning's meditation, we'll explore releasing the idea of attachment and the extraordinary, and instead invite the beauty of the ordinary. You may hear me spell out words or dial things up or down, along with fun imagery, all by design as part of the neural sculpting meditation process. A process that helps calm the nervous system, prime the brain for creating supportive ideas, and gives you agency in how you move through life. I'll be guiding this meditation for the month of March as an opportunity to deepen your practice and experience its full benefits. I have found that returning to the same meditations regularly can be incredibly supportive in reinforcing desired outcomes and creating lasting shifts. I hope it serves you in the same meaningful way. Let's begin this meditation by settling into the body, noticing the support beneath you. That might be the ground, a cushion, or a chair or bed. And notice how you are gently supported effortlessly. You might take a moment to become aware and orient to the space you are in, noticing the room and furnishings within the room in relation to you. What's in front, what's above, what's behind. And as you are orienting to your body in this space at this moment, you can relax and let your mind wander, because that's what minds do. And that's okay, because gravity is keeping you right here. Your breath is also keeping you right here. Your breath that is breathing just as it always does, naturally and consistent. And with your awareness, you can influence this, breathing deeper and slower. On your next inhale, you might become aware of the air as it flows in through your nose. And the next exhale, maybe you notice the release of the belly and lungs as the air flows out and disperses into the room. The in and the out, as your breath continues to flow effortlessly. As your breath continues to breathe itself, you might take note of any place in your body holding tension. What would it feel like to just let that go? To soften and relax just a little bit more, letting your shoulders drop and unclenching your jaw. You might want to roll out your wrists or ankles. As you are relaxing, there may be things adding to your comfort. The comfort of the familiar space, the comfort of a soft cushion, or the comfort of knowing you have what you need in this moment to be right here. What do you notice that is adding to your comfort at this moment? As you are making note of your comfort, I invite you to gently close your eyes or soften your gaze if that feels comfortable. And because you are fully supported comfortably, you can let your creative mind wander playfully. It might be interesting to imagine having wings. Where would your wings be? Would they grow out of your back? Maybe they're located under your arms, stretching down to your wrists. Are they the same color as your hair or a different shade? I wonder if they're strong enough to lift you up into the air. Or more like an ostrich, they just help you move things along. Or perhaps it's more fun to imagine that your feet were wheels and you could roll along at high speeds if necessary, or slow down at will. Maybe the wheels are retractable. Your creative mind is awakened, and I welcome you as the curator of this meditation, a meditation that releases the extraordinary and brings in simple embodiment of your ordinary self. Maybe your mind has spent years reaching for great expectations or attached to some idea. If there's a word or attribute that comes to mind, what is it? Something like RICH or recognition or success. What word comes to mind for you? And how does your creative mind imagine this word, idea, or aspiration? Does it have a color or temperature or a texture? like red and hot, or blue and sharp, or shiny and cool. What does creative mind imagine? And if you were to imagine a sensation with the idea of this, where in your body do you imagine it to be? Maybe in the palm of your hand, or in your head, or belly, or somewhere else. But what if you didn't have to be extraordinary? What if in this moment you could simply be? What would happen if you tried on the possibility that by being ordinary, you are already extraordinary? If you would choose an I am statement that describes an attribute of yourself that has served you well, what spontaneously comes to mind? An I am that expresses your pure, uncomplicated presence that feels so natural. Maybe like, I am strong, or I'm funny, or I am enough, or some other words that suit you well, authentically. Your breath is breathing, and your body is supported, still held right here. With this word or idea, you might imagine the extraordinary ideas of yourself falling away, like leaves letting go and floating down to earth, or ice melting, or a flame cooling to embers. Because here in the ordinary, there might be peace, or EASE, ease, or truth. What does creative mind imagine letting go of, and what do you see as your natural state of being? And with a deep inhale and slow exhale, you might imagine shifting shapes or colors or sensations. As your mind explores, what do you imagine? What is your mind telling you about the nature of your ordinary being? As your story unfolds, notice how it resonates in your body. Are there any shifts that you perceive or imagine? Maybe it's steady, perhaps peaceful, or true. Because this is yours, not something to reach for, but something that has perhaps been here all along. You are welcome to breathe into it. Breathe it in and invite it to settle. What if you could expand this feeling and embody it to the fullest? I invite you to imagine a dial. It could be a fancy knob or an old-fashioned radio tuner with settings from 1 to 10, with 1 being a gentle whisper and 10 the confident beating like a drum. What happens when you gently turn up the dial? Is there a tone or vibration to your I am? What level is comfortable? Maybe imagine turning the dial past 8. Does the vibration or tone get more expansive? Or do you prefer to turn it down to a 2, letting it settle softly? You are in control of the dial. You are the one fine-tuning this experience of your authentic, ordinary self. And as you explore this, and as this shift in vibration settles into your body, notice, where do you sense it most now? Is it in your throat, in speaking your truth, maybe in your fingertips, or perhaps somewhere else? I wonder if this is something that has been shimmering and ready for exploration, or if it's an idea that has been tried on and ready for expansion. Either way, you can bring yourself right back to this moment by placing your non-dominant hand on your body to remind you of this, if that feels comfortable for you. Or maybe you prefer to make a gesture, a thumb to finger, or something that can bring you back to this knowing whenever you choose. And that will signal the return of this moment. If you were to give this experience a name, what might it be? maybe a single word or words that hold meaning, or perhaps something playful, a made up word. A word that, when spoken, thought, or written, brings you right back here. This name and this gesture are always available to you, ready to bring you back to the quiet truth of simply being yourself. Even as you move your awareness to the room and sounds in your outer landscape, gently moving your body. And when you're ready, opening your eyes to end your meditation. Thank you for joining us for the daily talk and meditation. You might consider taking a few moments to journal about your experience. And you're invited to join our daily meditations Monday through Friday at 7 a.m. Pacific. I'm Mignon Harris, a certified neural sculpting facilitator, and you can learn more about neural sculpting and my offerings at vitalform.life. And find my link at tmicglobal.com to explore more of the most interesting conversations programs. Have a gorgeous day and be well.